Have you heard of the Spitfire? You probably haven't. Let's just see if I can get a better angle on this, which doesn't include my ring light actually reflecting off all the plastic packaging. You probably have heard of the Spitfire. It's often cited as the airplane that helped win the Battle of Britain back in World War II. Famously, Hermann Göring was asked by Hitler what he needed to win the Battle of Britain, and he is supposed to have retorted, a squadron of Spitfires. But he would have said that in a German accent, and he probably would have sounded rather annoyed, and probably very fat and pompous and arrogant, and Hitler probably would have bitch-slapped him. But there you go. I do actually kind of like getting the ring light on that, because it kind of gives it a halo effect, and given how revered this particular aircraft is, still to this day, somewhat appropriate. Let's not forget the Hurricane, because the Hurricane played just as important a role, and there was actually four more of them as far as I'm aware. But this is a model set, it's not the real thing, it's in 1/72 scale. But the reason I bought that is because I am currently working on, slowly but surely, I am currently working on my own railway model set, which is all in 00 gauge, which is the same gauge as 1/72. At least, as far as I remember it is. Anywho, let's just take a quick look. We have various languages to on, so it's a plastic model kit. That is a Supermarine Spitfire Mark, whatever. Yeah, I was going to say submarine. There were actually Spitfires that were adapted to be able to land on water and whatnot, and there were even some fleets of cargo ships would have at least one aircraft attached to them permanently, and it would be able to lift off if there was any kind of attack on those ships, and therefore do what it needed to do, but it couldn't land again. It was just designed to be able to take off. I'm not sure if that was actually a Spitfire or not. What have we got in the background there? It looks like potentially either another Spitfire or a Hurricane. I'm not sure from that angle. And that looks like some kind of Nazi bomber. It's not a Messerschmitt because it's got two propellers on its body, one on each wing. Whereas the Messerschmitt was a similar configuration to the Spitfire and Hurricane overall. And let's face it, there's only so many configurations you can possibly have. We can see that there is a glue kit here. There is a paintbrush, at least 3 different colours to paint it in. Oh, let's just get this open. Oh, that actually comes up quite easily. Usually, when I try to open one of these things up, or anything that comes in plastic wrapping like this, like any number of toys, it's quite difficult to get it out of the box without tearing everything apart like buggery. So that I'm quite happy with. Oh, excuse me, I'll sneeze in celebration and triumph. But the box is incredibly light. I mean, most of the weight is obviously coming from the paint, which nearly slid onto my foot there, but never mind. And we can perhaps see the Spitfire just a bit better. What else does it say here? Aircraft illustration. Really? We needed to be told that was an aircraft illustration? Let's take a quick look, same picture on the side there, more general information in different language. The most famous British aircraft of World War II. Although they're both using ones in that case, so that sounds like World War XI. Oh dear God, World War XI will be back to using Spitfires. Combined excellent flying characteristics with an outstanding performance. The first production Spitfire was delivered in July 1938. The R.R. Merlin engine developed 1.57 PS, max speed 594 kilometers an hour. Actually, I've heard a story that apparently the Spitfire was capable of reaching max speeds, the speed of sound. To do so, it had to put itself into a nosedive, so it went flying up to its maximum height, the ceiling, and then went into a nosedive, and that of course built up more and more speed, and it apparently came quite close to breaking the sound barrier. The only drawback was because it wasn't designed for that. When that particular plane that did do that particular stunt, when it landed, the wings had been found to have moved back quite a fair bit. No idea if it's actually true or not, but it is an interesting story. Let's see what's on the back here. Just various illustrations of other kinds of aircraft, such as the Eurofighter, a bomber of some sort, cargo plane, I believe, a glider. Not sure what that is, but it's called a Salamander. I'm not sure what role it is. If you're an expert, please let me know. And that's a Eurocopter Tiger. Never heard of it. Looks a bit like an Apache. Might be based on it. Don't know. More paints, more information, and so on and so forth. What does this say? You will find many other true to the original scale models, as well as an extensive accessory and airbrush range in the Revell catalogue. Which reminds me, I did actually make a point of saying that this was 172, which is the same scale as 00 and Railways. The reason being, I sort of trailed off, didn't I? The reason being is that I'm working on my own railway set. It's going to be in 00 gauge, and I want to have an airfield. And I wanted to have this on, so that gives you an idea of what kind of time period I might be looking at. So let's see if we can just open this thing up. Oh dear, unfortunately, tearing it open means damaging the box. Never mind, it's not like I'm going to be selling it on or anything like that. Everything's out, yeah, just knock the camera. And you can see that it comes unpainted in any regard, so, you know, when you put it together, it is going to be grey. Production model grey, perhaps? You've got the instruction manual here, I believe. Get more information, stickers. Unlike my approach to Lego, where I will not put the stickers on, because, you know, it stops me from being able to use it for other things, this I have no problem having the stickers for, because that will add the, you know, the appropriate air of authority. There's some tracing paper by the looks of it, not sure what that's for. Various instructions here, bigger instructions with the same picture in black and white, and so on. Yeah, so that's going to be quite helpful, as long as you remember to put everything in the right order. You know, now I haven't done this since I was a kid, and the last aircraft that I actually built as a kid was a Tornado, which is a swing wing plane, which means the wings, you know, can actually go from one configuration like this to being swept back so that it has more speed. The problem was, I didn't read the instructions properly and I missed the internal bits to actually keep the wings connected together, so each wing would, because of what I'd done, and didn't realise what I'd done, each wing moved independently instead of together, in unison, as it's supposed to be. But yeah, that looks quite nice, and then you get the detail of, the actual planes themselves. Now you can see some of the difference here. We've got a later model. If you take a look here, for example, you can see in the wings here and here, there's a slight bit more curvature there. They're actually a bit longer and a bit more curved. I think the same thing carries over to the tails to a certain degree, perhaps, maybe, no, maybe not. Yeah, otherwise everything looks quite similar. Yes, is that really the only significant difference? Just a bit more length in the wings and rounded tips? I mean, the main difference between the Spitfire and the Hurricane aesthetically is that the Spitfire has more rounded edges to it in general, whereas this Hurricane, to the best of my knowledge, had more sort of squared off edges. This, on the other hand, seems to be a version of the Spitfire that has more squared off edges, at least as far as the main wings are concerned. Everything else seems to be a bit on the rounded side. They also had different cockpit designs, both internal and the actual canopy, and the construction was somewhat significantly different. The Spitfires, their airframe was constructed out of metal, iron and steel, I believe, whereas the Hurricane, you might not believe this, was actually constructed out of wood. Now that actually gave it both a greater strength in certain regards and a greater weakness. The Hurricane could actually take more physical damage from bullets than a Spitfire could. Not quite sure how that works, but for obvious reasons, because it was made out of wood, it was more susceptible to catch on fire. Which meant that if you were up in a hurricane, you were far more likely to burn to death if your plane got caught on fire. I'm quite liking the feel of the plastic, although it is obviously not super strong stuff. It's got a good degree of flex and so on and so forth, which is perhaps just what you want. And it looks a lot smaller in hand than perhaps it does on the box, because the box art is just there to impress and draw your eye. But yeah, this will go quite nicely on an airstrip next to my railway set, or as part of my railway set when it's done. Well, that's my first impressions. Okay, I like the quality of it. It's got a certain amount of flexibility here. Next time I do a video on this, it will be all put together and we'll be looking at it. I'm not sure if I'll paint it at the start of the video or if I'll do it in two halves and do this, the painting and then show it off. It's been years since I've done any kind of painting on models as well. Yeah, so my skills are probably going to be quite lackluster, but I'm hoping that there's going to be some kind of painting guide, because My efforts could be quite lacking. I don't think I'll be able to get it to look that good. Oh well, never mind. One other thing about, I think it's a Spitfire, it might be the Hurricane. Have you heard the expression the whole 9 yards? It refers to the amount of ammunition that goes into both wings, because you've got the machine guns in the wings themselves. Take all the ammunition out, lay it out flat in one straight line, and you have 9 yards worth of ammunition. Hence the phrase, the whole 9 yards, meaning that you've used up all the ammo. Preferably not on one enemy aircraft though. See you later!